quite honestly, y'all aren't doing it right all the time, right? So there's definitely a strategy to networking.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk a little bit about strategy, what we see, what works, what doesn't work, so that you can make the most of your time. If you don't network in an effective manner,
Yes.
it's a complete waste of time.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Lasting Business Solutions Podcast, Indy's launchpad to sustain business success, growth, and leadership. My name is Renee Lucas. I'm your host, and as promised, Brody Dell is back here with us today. If you remember from our last episode, we talked, Brody, about your accident and your mindset and your journey through that. And so if you happen to miss that episode, make sure to tune in because it's a really inspiring story that you had there. So, well, today, Brody's back with us with a different topic. We're going to be talking about networking. So that's how we originally met. We are both actually very involved with BNI, Business Networking International. And Brody, you actually won the BNI Member of the Year award. Was it last year?
Yep, 2024, 25.
Yeah, congratulations. That's a big one. There are, I don't know the number of members in BNI, but I mean...
For Central Indiana, it was like 32 chapters, like 600 people. So
okay,
cool.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, we're going to talk about networking because it's an integral part of business for so many business owners. But quite honestly, y'all aren't doing it right all the time, right? So there's definitely a strategy to networking.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk a little bit about strategy, what we see, what works, what doesn't work, so that you can make the most of your time. If you don't network in an effective manner, it's a complete waste of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they think networking is going to these Events, right, where there's 30 to 70 people, maybe even 100, right? There's drinks, there's people talking, hanging out. There might be a guest speaker.
Yep.
But really, that's almost some of the worst type of networking.
I agree.
But, I mean, you have to be so intentional when you're in those environments. And your goal should really just be to have 3 to 5 quality conversations and, like, leave with 5 people you're going to follow up with. But, because you can't realistically meet and talk to 40 people. You can't meet 70 people. You're going to have impactful conversations. So
you're not going to remember who anybody is. Nobody's going to remember you with the same strategy. When I leave somewhere and I have like all these business cards that people have given me and I can't put a face with a name. I literally just want to like throw the business cards away. I mean, I don't do anything with them. I don't make any sort of effort to follow up. It's the impactful conversations that we have, the meaningful ones.
Absolutely.
Those are the ones that I hang on to and I make intention to follow up with them and to see where that's going to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know I'll mention BNI because we're so familiar with that. And as you mentioned, there's 32 chapters. And so you can look to see about getting into a chapter.
Yep.
I see people all the time, they'll come in and they'll visit without wanting to join.
Yep.
Or they will join in as a new member, and their whole goal is to get the business of everybody in the room.
Yep.
Right? So why is that not a good goal?
Yeah. So in BNI, it's one of their like core values too, which is it's kind of funny because I had the same kind of core value and vision, and then I joined it and was like, oh, sweet, these guys do that. So it worked out. But yeah, it's kind of the giver's game mentality, right? So many people come in when they're selling stuff, they're trying to sell themselves, right? And they're trying them to make money, right? And get something out of it.
Yeah. Instant gratification,
right? So they can do 2 free visits, so they try to bounce around and just visit everywhere, right? But where the true value is like developing genuine relationships, right?
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, it's really just going to be kind of surface level. You're never really going to get much out of it. I've just found that when in BNI, you go in there with the mindset of I'm going to add value to this person. I'm going to add value to this group, right? And then worry about selling yourself later, right? Like.
I love that. And that's even in our own business, outside of networking, we talk about we're not here to sell somebody something. We're not going into a home to sell you a humidifier or to sell you a maintenance plan for your furnace. We're here to serve you. So what are your needs? What are your pain points? What do you want? What do you need, right? And it's the same thing with networking. You mentioned, and we talked a little bit about in the last episode, you give before you receive, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's that giver's gain attitude that you're thinking about. And I know for a fact people do not walk into a business group thinking, what value can I bring to everybody in here today? They're walking in thinking, what can I get out of this, right? It's the wrong mentality. I'm just going to say that straight. That is a wrong mentality
100%,
to have.
100%. Yeah, if you go into a room, for selfish reasons and you're just looking to get gain out of it, I need to get 5 appointments set for this, right?
Yeah.
You're just looking for yourself. You're never going to get as much out of it as you could if you go in there with the mindset of, how can I help these people? How can I add value to this person, right? Because then you build this like relationship of where they're like, they want to help you, right? Because they're like, wow, he's done so much for me, or he's helped so much. They're looking to give you business, right? Whereas you go in there and sell them, you give them your pitch deck and talk for 80 seconds. They turn off at second 8.
And people can pick up on that.
Yeah.
They can totally pick up. If that's your intention, people pick up on that, and it's just kind of, will you even be around? Like, will you even be around once we're past this hour that we're here together, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, Brody, when you go to a networking group, you mentioned already that you have a plan, and that plan might be, I'm going to have 3 really high-quality conversations today. I know that I would always go in with a plan as well, right? So I would plan out my time. There's so many people that'll go to a networking group and they just wing it, right? And you can, your face just said it all. Like, you can tell. You can tell. And so I think, I look at it very much as, if I don't plan for this hour that I'm taking of my time and of your time and everybody else's time, then what can you expect with the quality of work that I'm going to bring into your home, right? Am I prepared? Do I plan for that? And, what's that going to look like?
Yeah. So we had kind of like, it was, not to go back to college football, but a lot goes to college football. We had something called best as a standard, right? So like how you do everything is at your best, right? So best as a standard. So if you're, you go into a networking event without preparing for it whatsoever, or like even have the slightest game plan for what you're doing, right? It's not going to get the results. You're not going to be as consistent. And you want to portray consistency in that you do the best every time. So whether it's, you're in their crawl space, remediating mold, you're drying out their house from water damage, right?
Sure.
You're going to a networking, you want to do all those at the best. So it's a reflection of you, like when you're there. So, yeah, and at the beginning of my career, I would just walk in, I'm just here to meet people, right?
Yeah.
And you go and you waste your money, you waste your time, and you get nothing out of it. You might get 10 business cards and you had one conversation maybe.
And to be fair, everybody starts there, right? Yes. Because it's a skill to learn how to network and how to make it worth everybody's time. So everybody starts there. I was the same way. When I joined the first networking group for our business, I was 25 years old. You know what I mean? I mean, I didn't know anything about networking, right?
Yep.
But I think just like anything else, what can you learn from other people, and how can you implement that?
Yes.
That's the biggest thing that holds businesses back, I think, is that even if we learn something, we don't take the time to implement it.
Yes.
And then that's where we get stuck.
Story of my life. Yeah.
I would disagree with that.
I know. I've been around so many good coaches, so many good business people, mentors, and it'll be funny. Someone will be like, "Hey, you need to implement that," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I learned that like 7 years ago. Thanks for reminding me." Like, it's funny how much you learn and forget. Like, if it's really being intentional about implementing stuff, because there's so many times where I like rehear something, and I'm like, "Yeah, I knew that, and I'm just not doing it."
And so many times it seems simple.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I not doing that?
Exactly.
Right? But sometimes the simplest things are what we overlook or what we don't make time for.
Like, drink 64 ounces of water a day, like,
yeah,
I've heard that before, and then I'll have like maybe
this
8
much.
ounces.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know, it takes me 3 hours to drink this much water sometimes. So I totally get it.
So, yeah.
Going back into a networking group. And so I had a financial advisor. So take our trade, HVAC, very similar with yours.
Yep.
But you take our trade where we're in homes, and I would think that my natural referral partner would be somebody else in the trades.
Yes.
So an electrician, a plumber, a contractor. There was a financial advisor in my group who was my best referral partner.
Yes.
And he knew how to network. And he's really the one, Jay Barkley, I'd give him a shout out right now. He's really the one that taught me how to network.
Yep.
But he explained to me, when I meet with my clients once a year, I'd ask them, do you have any big purchases for the next year? And if HVAC is one of them, I ask, do you have a company that you trust? And our name would come up in that, or he'd refer us, hey, if you need a second opinion. And because of his relationship was so strong, his clients automatically trusted us, right? And so it was a very comfortable referral.
Yep.
It was a warm referral, not a cold call sort of
Yes,
thing.
yes.
And so I was always grateful for those referrals that came
Yes.
from Jay.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes too is thinking about how can we teach people. So how do you teach people to refer you?
Yes. So like I'm saying earlier when I talked about adding value, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to find people that have that same mindset for their customers. Like
Yeah.
Jay was doing, right? He wanted to add as much value to his clients. So they're talking about their life, their needs in their home.
Yep.
Oh, wow, I have the best HVAC people that you can work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want people that are genuinely invested in their clients like that. And those are the relationships you want to like maintain and like develop.
Yeah.
So really it's just about finding people that share that same way of kind of selling, right? Relationship building, relationship mindset. I thought it was kind of funny. Like here in the last couple of years, I'd seen a bunch of things trying to train me on like how to like relationship networking, right? And then I like looked
Yeah.
at it and I was like, oh, that's what I like started doing like 5 years ago, right? And it was like I didn't know you could teach a course on it. I'm like, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
You know, I thought like that's just how people did business, and it was like eye opening to see like
No.
how so many people are transactional
Yes.
and like just sell to sell,
Yeah.
and they have their script and they
Travis
try to hit
and
their
I-
quota, right?
Yeah, we had an episode not too long ago about that kind of like customer transactional mentality
Yeah.
versus a client base, client
Yes.
relationship. And so it's very, very different,
Yeah.
right? We're not in the business. I'm not a grocery store where you
Yeah,
pop in
yeah.
and get something and leave, right?
Yeah.
That's what we are in a relationship building business. And especially take trades like us where we're in people's homes, like we're in
Yes.
your private space. We're
Yes.
in your space. And so
Yes.
you want a relationship built
Yeah.
with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, when you talk about adding value, how do you add value to other people? So say I've always found like a financial advisor, I'll stay on that topic for a minute. That has been in the past a little bit of a difficult one for me to refer,
Yep.
simply because it's a very personal thing for people,
Yes.
right? And so how do you always bring up somebody's finances or retirement planning or something like that? That's been
Yep.
a little bit of a challenge for me. So how can you bring value to people if it's not a direct referral right away?
Yeah. So two things. I wanted to touch on the J thing as well. Like so many people get so caught up in, oh, well, you need to be hitting our target market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you'll learn that your absolute best referral partners are completely out of the industry, like you said. You'll never know, right? And for me, that's been an attorney, right? But if you go in with the mindset of, oh, we're only talking to insurance agents and realtors and plumbers, right? You can miss out on some of the best people that help you grow your business. So I just urge you to, like your sales teams, don't just lock into, oh, you can only talk to these people, because it's not a waste of time.
It's like having the blinders on,
Yeah.
right? When you go in and like, okay, I
Exactly.
need to meet an insurance agent today.
Yes.
You might be missing out on 20 other people
Yes.
that could be really good referral partners
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
And then
It's a good point.
rehash your question a little bit, because I had an answer for your question.
Yeah, how do you bring value? How
Okay,
do you
yes,
bring
yes.
value to
Okay.
people if it's not a
Yep.
direct referral right
Yep.
now?
So like the best way to bring value to people that's not a direct referral happens all the time in BNI, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I go in there and I sit down and I meet a CPA, health insurance. I meet someone from Aflac. I meet an electrician, someone that does screens. There's some people, right, where I'm going to run into, like the realtor, an insurance agent. I'm
Yeah.
around people in homes all the time.
Yeah.
We have claims, something bad happens, easy referrals, right?
Yeah,
I get them
absolutely.
all the time. But for people that you can't send direct business to, you got to get creative, right? You got to, in BNI, people need a sub. They can't be missing meetings, right?
Yep.
So there's some people I'll sub for. I sub at a disgusting amount of 7 a.m. meetings, 7 a.m., 7:30.
I've done the same thing.
It's uncomfortable
Yeah.
and it stinks, right?
Yeah.
But like I add value to them in that way. There's other people, it's just, hey, meeting with them about lunch and talking to them about developing a sales team, right?
Yeah.
I can't give them a referral. You just have to find different ways to add value. And it could be in any aspect of their life. It could be, their daughter is Girl Scouts,
Yeah.
and you go and
Buy
buy
some Girl Scout
10
cookies. Yeah.
boxes of cookies so
Yeah.
she wins the sales competition, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just get creative. Like, it can be in any aspect. You don't have to get so locked into, oh, well, I didn't send them a business referral. Well, you can't send everybody a business referral, And I know
No, I
100
completely
insurance
agree.
agents. I can't refer 100 insurance agents,
No,
right?
no.
But I can refer a couple, And then the others, I can try to add as much value to them as possible, right?
I think, okay, going back to that, so even if you have somebody that's an easy referral, so take an
Yes.
insurance agent for you, right? It's going to be the people that you've built a relationship that has taken the time to ask you about your
Yes.
business
Yep.
and what a good referral might be for you.
Yep.
They've gotten to the time to get to know you,
Yes.
probably on a personal level, because it's a direct reflection of you when you refer somebody, right? I'm not going to refer a realtor if I think they're going to ghost somebody or not call somebody back or be too busy or not have time on a Saturday to do showings, right? I'm going to call somebody that I trust and is going to make me look good.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And so I think that's another really important reason to build those relationships.
100%.
Where, there's a blue billion HVAC companies, right? Why would they choose me over anybody else? There's some really good HVAC companies.
Yeah.
There's nothing
There's
bad
a
to say
couple.
about them. There's a few, yeah.
Not a ton. No, I'm just kidding.
But, there are. So what do I do to build that relationship, to stand out, to make sure that I am the one that they are thinking of if they need that, right? And the best way is going to be, I'm the one that bought the 10 boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
They trust me.
Exactly.
I'm here every week. I don't miss a bunch of weeks.
Yeah. No, definitely. I couldn't agree with you more. And
Yeah.
if you don't have that relationship built, it becomes transactional.
Yeah.
And you miss out on so many great opportunities. You just go there with the mindset of, I'm here to serve, right? That's one of the things I love about restoration, right? Most people would be like, you got a college degree, you could go do a lot of great things. Why were you getting in moldy crawl spaces, right?
Yeah.
Or why were you carrying bags of wet carpet pad up 40 flights of stairs?
Your hat looks like it just came from a crawl space.
Yes.
Yes.
This is. I've had this hat. This hat was with me in the trenches. So
Yeah.
Sorry, it's.
No, yeah.
But yeah,
I meant that as a compliment for sure.
yes.
Yeah.
But what I love about the job is we have such an opportunity to serve people because their biggest investment, right, their house.
Mm-hmm.
It caught on fire. It flooded. People's lives are really affected and
It's
displaced.
very emotional.
It's stressful. It's emotional. And we get to come in with the opportunity, right, to help them, right? And they're so that's one thing I love about it, right? And it's not. I'm never really selling, because I can't go sell you, hey, your basement's gonna flood tomorrow,
Right.
and you should pick us, right?
Right.
It's really just going around and making relationships, right, and building trust, and then, hey, if something unfortunate ever happens to you or your biggest asset, we're going to be here to help, right? So it's like a...
and think about specifically what you do, Brody, the process of your job. So you could be demoing, you could be there for days as you're drying out, doing all of those things. And so having somebody and I mentioned this last time, we went through the hurricane, we've been through something. And so seeing people rip out your flooring and rip out the walls and dry, and it's like, are you coming back? It's been 3 days. Are you still here? And for the insurance company, you need all these dry logs. And so do you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
And that's where that relationship is so important, because there could be another remediation or restoration company that is a really good company. But if you've got this person here who knows you and knows that they can count on you,
Absolutely.
they're not even going to give this person an opportunity, right? It's going to be yours all day.
And that's one of the best things about it is when you have those relationships, because most people, it's their first claim. It's the first time their house caught on fire, first time their house is flooded.
Yeah.
We've done
and hopefully
thousands
the last,
of claims,
right?
and hopefully the last. We have had awesome repeat customers. It's great. We do a great job. They love us, and then they call us in 8 months and say, "Hey, it flooded again." After we put their floors back and spent a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It's two-sided.
It's sad for you.
We feel bad for them.
I know,
we feel bad for them, right? But then
Yeah.
us, we're like, we just did this floor.
I know.
But it's
Yeah.
but it's we've done hundreds of claims, right? So we know the process. We know it'll get drug out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not even our fault, right? It could be the back end insurance claim wise getting stuff approved. It could be things totally outside of the homeowner's control, totally outside of our side control, right?
Sure. It's a process.
But if you don't have that relationship and trust of hey, we're going to take care of you, because the process is usually dry at the first 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of paperwork and talk with insurance that has to happen. So almost always there's a 2-week gap minimum of before we come back to rebuild it.
It's what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's how it can feel, is what are you doing?
If you don't have the relationship or trust, customers literally think you just aren't coming back to their house to fix things for 2 weeks. And it's I promise that's not the case.
Yeah.
We don't want to build it back and then insurance go, oh, we're actually not paying for that, right? So,
Sure.
And one of the biggest things with restoration of the trades is really communication, setting expectations. Because if you don't tell them, hey, we're not going to be back for 2 weeks, right? We're going to have to figure stuff out with insurance.
Yeah.
Building back your house, say if it's a large fire loss, this could be a 3, 4, 5, 6 month process, right?
Right.
Like there's a lot of steps. There's a lot of red tape kind of.
And there's a lot of anxiety on the other end, especially
Yeah.
if you haven't communicated
Yes.
that it's going to be 2 weeks before I'm able to get back in because
Yes.
of the insurance process.
Yes.
Nobody likes surprises like that,
Yeah.
you know? And so going back to that great communication too, when you are networking with people, how do you think you can show them how strong your communication style is through the type of networking that you do?
Oh, so like when you're networking, say I have an 11 o'clock appointment, right?
Mm-hmm.
10:15 rolls around. Hey, we still good for 11, right? Just little things like that, showing that you're going to be timely. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
You check in with them because honestly, it helps you too. Like,
sure.
Because you have many appointments where people haven't showed up, and then you waste your time. You waste an hour. You waste an hour and a half driving somewhere.
Yep.
So it's like, A, it's for yourself a little bit, but then it's B, it's showing them like you're ready, prepared, and you didn't forget about it.
Yeah.
So, and then they're like, oh, well, he always communicates great with me. Like, why wouldn't it be the same for my customer? So you kind of already building that trust a little bit there. I'm not saying I'm perfect and do that all the time. Like, trust me, there's meetings I don't text before. I just trust that the other person's going to show up.
Yeah.
But
well, and some of that too
is helpful.
Is the relationship that you have and the trust that you have. There may be times when you don't have to do that,
Exactly.
So when you are networking and you're in say a group of maybe 20 to 25 people, okay? And you have to and I'm going to go back to BNI because we're both so familiar with that, right? But say you have to give a 60-second kind of elevator speech, or it's your turn to give more of a 10-minute talk on your business. I've seen many times where people will stand up and say, hey, a great referral for me would be anyone that you know whose house has burned down recently.
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know if anybody's house has burned down recently, right? But how could you reword that, or how could you help people get more specific so that it's not just, it's like in our industry, people will be like, a great referral will be anybody that has a furnace and air conditioner in their house. Well, everybody does, so you're not going to be able to think of something, right? Why is that garbage?
Yeah.
Why is that garbage?
It's got to be specific and like timely, and it's got to provoke thought. So, I'd always lead off with Brody from Makeup Back Restoration. We do water, fire, mold damage, general, right? Boom, every time, same thing, right?
Yep.
But then you go into a client story of how you guys made a huge difference, where you made a difference. It gives them an example of work you did, right? And also how you're different and how well it went, right?
Yeah.
And it's not always, sometimes it's even okay to share, like, we had this crazy situation come up, and like it didn't go perfectly, but here's how we handled it, right? And give some transparency.
Sometimes when something goes wrong, and for every business, something goes wrong at some point, right? Yeah. It's the way you handled it.
Yes.
Those can be customers, clients for life.
Forever.
Yeah. Because of the way you handled it.
Yeah. And like for my instance, like I could say, oh, introduce me to all insurance agents, right? That's garbage. So like the best ones for us say independent insurance agents, right? That have multiple carriers and they're struggling to maintain clients after claims, right? Let's say it's because of a bad claims experience, right? Or they just haven't had someone that's trusted that came alongside their customers. So like I can say like, who do you know that's been in insurance for 3 to 5 years and is looking to add value to their customers, right? Boom. Now I think of, my friend that does this insurance. I want to help her. Yeah. Right. Versus like any insurance agent. They're like, okay, next,
Yeah. So the general ask it's just overwhelming for the brain because like you said, it doesn't provoke any sort of thought because it's like, okay, sure, I know a bunch of insurance agents, but I don't know what you need.
The worst word is anyone.
Anyone. You're 100%. Take that out of your networking vocabulary.
Realtor. Anyone looking to buy or sell a home.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, I know. Let me think.
Say like, ages, new married couples, ages 26 to 30, people trying to start a family and upsize, right?
Yes.
Like,
people who have something
to work with.
Yes, people who are moving, people who have just gotten a new job, maybe a job promotion, they need to move to a different side of town. That's what's like being very specific. And I would take all day. If I was a realtor and I said that, do you know of anybody who took a job promotion and they have to move from one side of Indianapolis to the other side of Indianapolis, they're looking for a new home, and I had one quality referral, I would take that all day over 10, like, know somebody who might be thinking about moving in the next year.
Yeah,
and then you got to cold
exactly.
call that, and then they're like, wait, who are you? And
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable and
Yeah.
awkward, and
Yeah,
there's
fun.
no, it's not fun. So very general, very specific. So think too.
Yep.
Now let's jump over to, you've got a longer time frame. You've got 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what my pet peeve is.
Okay.
So my pet peeve is when somebody stands up there and they talk about themselves for 8 of the 10 minutes, and
So yeah, when you develop some credibility, in the first 2 minutes,
Yep.
and show a little bit about yourself, family, right? Everything. Show that you're a normal human, right?
mm-hmm.
And then you want to get into, your business, what it offers, right? And then what makes you different, right? And differentiates you from the other people.
Yeah.
And the best salespeople, they say you got to be memorable, right? And you got to differentiate yourself. I unfortunately have a large cheat code to that, because I'm the only guy that walks in with one leg.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
usually like,
yeah.
hey, who was the guy who popped in here last Friday? And they'll go, the one leg guy, right? Like, that's easier for me. So I'm not saying it's easy to do that, but
Yeah.
you got to.
But you networked before the accident too, so
I was good at networking before that. Yeah. But
you are.
You got to get creative. Like, everyone brings in, every restoration company swings by once a month with a notepad, a pen with their name on it, and maybe even brings in cookies, right? Like, don't do what everyone else is doing. Like, you got to
Be different.
get creative,
Stand
right?
out.
Do different things.
Yeah.
So, and in your presentation, you want to display some of those things, and then usually, what I found success in is like for tradespeople especially, like before and afters. Just put in a couple before and afters pictures
yeah.
in the presentation, and then you can go through your process. Hey, this is what happened to this customer. This is what we did. Here's a before, here's an after. They get a good scope of what you do. They get to see befores and afters. They're like, wow, they do great work, right? And I feel like that's always way better than putting up 10 slides with 6 bullet points and sitting there and talking, right? Give them something to look at,
agree.
and then show them your before and afters, and they'll be like, wow, this is great.
One of the best 10 minutes that I ever did, and I'm not saying that to like pat myself on the back, but it was the most impactful with people from the feedback I got and from referrals that we received, is I did a section on what's not a good referral for us. And that's very different than what everybody else does, because everybody else is what's good, what can you give me, what can I get, right? Here's what I appreciate, but it's really not the best fit for us. And it really generated a lot of questions from people. So, for example, property management is not always a great fit for us, right? Those property managers tend to be looking for like the cheapest out there, like, a quick fix sort of thing. Like, that doesn't match. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's that need out there, but it doesn't match the quality and the relationship that we want to deliver. Yeah. So it's, for that reason, it's not a great relationship. So it's not a great referral. So not only have I shared that, but then I've also highlighted why, which is our quality of work, why that's so important to us, and the fact that we'll turn down some business if it doesn't match the quality that we deliver. Yeah,
going off that, I love that point. Like, not telling people what your bad referral is for you, that'll bring you that situation less, right? So things that cause you pain in your business, or customers that are problems for you, if you tell people that, you're not going to get as many of those, which is great, right?
Because you're still obligated to reach out to them if you do get the referral.
And there's, for us, it's even a little different. Like, we really can't do prospecting as well as other people can, because our agent calls us and they send us their customer that their basement's flooded, right? And we could get there and learn that these people are challenging and not an ideal customer, right?
Yeah.
But we're still in this, we kind of have to help them, right?
You got to do it,
So it's a little different for us, but besides even saying what not a good customer for us is, I think even just telling your audience how to make a good introduction or referral for you, that's a huge one too. And because so many times they just leave, oh, that was good to know and good to learn. But if you don't give them something intentional to take away, like, how can I introduce you to this person, it makes it easier.
You know what? That's a really great point. One of the and think outside of the box, because one of the ways that I do that is via social media. So I'll say a great way to refer us is, take the holidays, or take the first time it's 80 degrees outside, or when it gets really cold outside, or the day before you're leaving on vacation. Somebody will always put on there, my air conditioner or my furnace broke the worst time of year. The best referral for us is to tag us on social media,
Yes.
right? And so people don't think about that necessarily. They would scroll right past that.
Yep.
But because I gave that specific action,
Yep.
now they're more aware of it. Instead of scrolling past, they go back.
Yep.
They tag me. They tag the company. We can quickly jump on it. It's a tie through them.
They say call LCS.
Yeah.
They're the best,
Yeah.
right?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, no, we get a ton of, and you want to, the networking groups you're in, right? You want to, like, your 8, 12, 10 people that are closest to you. You want them all hunting Facebook for you, too, and other, like.
Totally.
And it's house call. There's so many times I get on Facebook and I look in the mentions, and nothing makes you feel better than when, like, someone, hey, who do I call for restoration, right? And you scroll through the 38 comments, and like 13 of them are people saying, call Brody, call Eco back, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys are the best, A. And then B, it's like, this is great, right?
Yeah.
So, and when the person's scrolling, right, they'll probably call the first person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they'll go, well, this company or person's been named 7 times. I should probably call them too, right?
Yeah.
So it's always nice to.
And I tell you, if that person that posted that, if it's in a general like chat forum or something, that's one thing. And that's amazing too. We've had that too, where in a general chat forum, our name has popped up several times, and then you can see people that then they kind of connect because they're like, oh my gosh, we use them too. And it's so cool to see that. But then if you have somebody that's asked a question and a friend, I know if I put a question out there, I kind of scroll with who's responded and like, who do I really know well and have a relationship with to like, I really trust that. Like we switched, we had a new IT company, and I actually started with the referral from our accountant. She had responded, and it's not saying anybody else is any less, but because of the level of trust I have with her, I started with hers, right? So let me ask you this. For people who are new to networking, what do you think is the timeline of when they should expect to feel like it's paying off? You know what I mean? Like, do you expect them to go in and like go to a couple networking events and have all these referrals? Is it a long game? Is there any instant gratification? Like, what are your thoughts with that?
So and I'll just put this in BNI retrospect. Like, there's so many members that come in and they pay their yearly dues, right? And they've been in there like 3 months and they're so frustrated and they're like considering leaving, right? But they still haven't went around and done one-on-ones with all 20 members, right?
Right.
You got to be really intentional. And until you like develop the relationships, like I know you might not I didn't really get business in BNI for the first 8 months, right?
9 months.
Yeah.
I tried. It was 9 months for me.
So
consistent business.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, but if you don't go around and develop a relationship with everybody, BNI, I mean, that probably makes 40% of my business, which is like hilarious to think about. But like, none of that was really in the first year, right? And you just gotta be willing to continue to add value. And once you've added value to people for 6, 8, 10 months, and they know you're sticking around, you're not going anywhere, they're not gonna have to learn a new person next year. Right. You develop the trust. That's when you'll see I saw the real dividends or the fruits of the labor, in the second year, really.
I would agree. Here's something I would add to, not to cut you off, but I did just cut you off, so it's fine. Okay.
It's your podcast.
I think something that I see all the time, too, is that people will get too busy. So they'll be in it for a while, and they're like, oh, my God, now I'm too busy to come. And they'll quit before. And I'm like, oh, my God, it's just getting good. Like, you've just invested. Because let's be honest, like networking, it's not a huge money expense. It's a time investment. And so you've just invested all this time and you've built all these great relationships and you've done all these things. And then it's like, okay, hey, thanks, bye. I'm out. I'm too busy for you now, right? And so, there was a time, COVID happened, right? COVID happened and we went from like in-person meeting to online meeting, and it changed the dynamics of some things, right? And my own renewal came up, and I'd been in BNI by this point for, I don't know, 18 years or something, 15, 17 years, a very long time. And so when we got back to some in-person meetings and things like that, it's not just me in BNI groups, it's members of my team. And so I have 2 members on my team that are in their own networking groups because I want them to build the relationships.
Absolutely.
So when you do grow, and that's what we all want. We want our businesses to grow. And when you grow, and if you have to move in your business into a different position, who else can you keep with? Because that's part of that relationship building too. Are you going to like get as busy as you can and then leave?
No.
Or are you in it for the long haul?
No, definitely. And you made me think of one of my good networking friends. I'll actually give him a shout out here.
Yeah.
His name's Andy Leakty.
I
He's
love
a realtor.
Andy. Yeah.
But his tagline as he signs off is, never too busy for your referrals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important because, like you were saying, so many people get BNI or networking groups start working for them and they're like, oh, I'm too busy to be here.
Yeah.
You're too busy because you've developed good relationships and you're getting business from that group. Like, if you leave, you're not going to be too busy, right?
No,
like,
absolutely.
So, and then you're going to want to come back. You don't want to lose that progress and the traction. So, like you said, even if I love the tagline, never too busy for your referral. And that's kind of how you should live. But say you need to bring someone into your seat to maintain relationships, and then you go on and you say you get a different group or you go and focus on something else throughout the day.
Yep.
I think that's great. And another thing I thought of and it just depends on the time spent. We learned this we just had an analytics company come in and sit with us, and we learned a bunch of stuff. And one of the big takeaways was like doing jobs that are of your value, right? So like, I shouldn't be spending my time during the day doing a $15 an hour task, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing little things like that, you need to delegate to someone who's new or you just hired or someone that, is getting paid whatever dollar task. Like, you need to focus on the $200 an hour task. Like, hire
what's going to move the needle in your business. Yeah.
Yes. So if you get to a point where that networking group isn't your best time spent, right, you still need to have someone take your spot and replace it, because you don't want to throw away relationship building for 2 years. That just doesn't make sense.
And it does too. Like, say you leave and then you want to come back. I don't care what happens. You've lost a little bit of credibility.
100%.
You've lost a little bit of trust, and then you're going to be working to build all that up again. I think there are some industries. Mine's a great example of one. Same thing with an electrician, a plumber, even like a photographer, right? You can walk in and you might have somebody who needs an immediate need, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you came today. My furnace just stopped working, right? Or, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about getting family photos. I'm so glad you came today. Let's talk after the meeting. You're going to have potentially, maybe.
Yes.
I don't think it's necessarily the same thing. I'm going to go back to a financial advisor, an accountant. Yeah. Nobody usually runs up and was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to just like lay all of my finances out in front of you
We're
today,
in debt
right?
and struggling so much.
I know, I have $6, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I don't think that for some industries, I think that happens easier or more frequently than others.
Absolutely.
But I think no matter what the industry is, you got to think of it as a long game.
Yep,
it's an investment. It's time. I mentioned for consistency. And it's the same thing. For me to give consistency back, I would say it's an equal amount of time. To really give consistency back, you can do some quick things, the social media, meeting people for lunch, asking more questions. Like if you're at lunch, don't be the one that talks the whole time.
Yes. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Yes, I like it. Yes, there's a reason for that.
Yep.
Yeah, so all those little things that you can do to bring value. So, Brody, thank you so much for talking a little bit today. Just to summarize a little bit, strategize, plan, make this worth your investment, and it pays off in so many multiples of what you're putting into it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just the relationships,
and I've loved doing both podcasts with you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you.
So,
it's
and
awesome.
You guys have been great business partners, so...
We work. That's the thing is, you find people. You talked on the last episode about surrounding yourself with people who have similar values, similar outlooks. Yeah. I think that's why we connected so quickly.
Absolutely,
is because we have that, and you pick that up on people.
Yeah,
you do.
No.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us as well. I hope that gave you some great tips on networking for your business. Join us next time as we talk about productive meetings in your business. Thanks again for joining us on the Lasting Business Solutions podcast.